Hi, this is Lara at Elliott Wave Forex with a free S&P 500 Elliott Wave analysis for you for the New York trading session ending Thursday, 22nd of July. I'm going to start this analysis with a look at an historical chart. First up, we'll just have a quick look back to the early 70s. I'm pretty happy with this long 5-wave structure. When we see charts that are older and go back prior to the 70s, it certainly does look like a continuous ride, probably like a 5-wave impulse to the upside. Thereafter, I'm pretty happy with this expanded flat A, B, C at cycle degree and working now on wave C to the downside. At cycle degree, if wave C equals 1.618 the length of A, the S&P, when it's all over and done, will fall down to about 344.09. Expanded flats really commonly have that relationship between A and C, C being longer than A, usually significantly longer, should end well beyond the end of A, so it's probably not over here. And wave behaviour of this piece of movement that I've labelled primary 2 certainly indicates that it's not over here and we do have further down to go. I'm pretty happy with that target of 344.09. If we calculate C as 2.618 the length of A, it takes us into negative figures, so that's not possible, so our target of 1.618 seems fairly reasonable. Taking you now to a monthly chart a little bit more close up, where we're just going to look at this piece of movement where this cycle B and primary 1 and 2 is this cycle B and primary 1 and 2. So here's our expanded flat with an ABC zigzag for A. I put the label for primary 5 here because when I look at this piece of movement on a weekly chart, this here looks really strongly like an ending diagonal. It's got a 5-wave count, it's overlapping, so it's likely that our cycle degree wave 5 ended with a truncated fifth within it and actually ended at this point here, which also means that this wave count down here is certainly corrective, and we can see a nice long A, a little B, and a nice clean 5 waves down for C to end cycle A. Thereafter, a pretty clean ABC zigzag up for cycle C, and thereafter another very strongly impulsive downwards movement for primary wave 1. When we look at this piece of movement here that I've got labelled primary 2 and compare it to this piece of movement here that I've labelled primary 1, this upwards piece of movement is very clearly corrective, especially when you look at it on a weekly or a daily chart, compared to this piece of movement and our more recent movement, which is clearly impulsive. Wave behaviour is really important, and it's usually pretty easy to tell which is corrective and which is impulsive. Taking you now to a daily chart where this primary 2, let's have a look at the weekly first. I'll see what I mean. This is pretty clearly impulsive to the downside on this weekly chart, and this here is really obviously corrective. A lot more interlocking red and blue candlesticks. They're much shorter. It's more hesitant, much more hesitant. This one, especially the middle part of it, is pretty strong. It's pretty obvious that the trend direction is down. We've got a trend channel I've drawn here around primary 2. It's just a best fit. I've drawn it first from this low X to this low X and placed a parallel copy on W of this triple zigzag combination. We've got a really clean and obvious breakout to the downside, giving us a strong indication that primary 2 is over and primary 3 is definitely underway. That trend channel's been broken, and wave behaviour is certainly confirming that we're in an impulse to the downside. This behaviour here is certainly not corrective. Okay, let's go to a daily chart now where this black Z up here is this black Z up here, and here's our recent downwards movement, the beginning of primary wave 3, with a 1, 2, expanded 3, ABC correction for 4, and a 5 waves down to end blue or minor 1. I have a target to the downside for blue 3, which began at this point here. If it's 1.618 the length of this blue 1, we may see the S&P fall down to about 759.9 to end that minor blue wave 5. Let's have a look at the hourly chart now, where this pink 2 is this pink 2 up here, and here's our most recent fall. So now we're looking at minute wave 3 within minor wave 3 within intermediate wave 1. We've got a really nice clean 5 waves down for a green wave 1. We've got a 1, 2, an expanded 3, 4, and 5, and some nice ratios within here. Between orange 1, 3, and 5 here, orange 3 is just 0.78 more than 1.618 the length of this wave 1, a really tight Fibonacci relationship there. Orange wave 5 down here is 2.08 more than 0.618 the length of wave 1, not that tight a relationship. Within this wave 3 orange here, red wave 3 is 3.47 short of 4.236, the length of wave 1. A fair chunk off, but still a Fibonacci ratio nonetheless. Red wave 5 is 3 points more than the length of wave 1, trying for equality and failing to reach it by 3 points. That's a fair amount off. Within wave C orange of 2 green, just this piece of movement here, which is not quite over yet, red wave 3 here is 8.4 points more than 6.854, the length of wave 1. An unusual Fibonacci ratio, but a Fibonacci ratio nonetheless. And it's still quite a chunk off. 8.4 is quite a chunk off. Red wave 1 here was 6.5 points long. We may likely expect 5 to be equal, although since I've done this chart it surpassed equality. The next target to the upside for this last little push may lie about 1099.92. It can't reach above 1102.6 because wave 2 can't reach beyond the start of wave 1, so that's why I've got this invalidation point up here. This wave C orange, which began here, is not yet a complete 5-wave structure. If you wanted to be quick about it, you could simply count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, which is a corrective structure, 8. You need one more push up to make 9 an impulsive structure. C has to break down into an impulse. Well, it could be a diagonal, but in this case it's pretty clearly an impulse. So we need a count of 9, which means one more push to the upside, no matter how you label these subdivisions within it. We're getting that so far. It may very well be over since I've done this chart, and the next move for the S&P should be some pretty strong downwards movement for wave 3 green, within wave 3 pink, within wave 3 blue, within wave 1 black. So that's my analysis for the S&P. First time I've done that. I haven't looked at all the ratios on the daily and weekly and monthly charts. I'll get into that and do a historical analysis for you later on next week. I hope you find this useful in your trading, and as always, I hope everyone's having an awesome day.